Welcome friends, episode 13, Dan Tremblay Music. Today we're going to put the iPhone 11 Pro up against a DSLR, an old DSLR because I don't have a new one yet. This is the Canon 70D. So 7 or 8 years ago, it's my first real camera. It kind of revolutionized the videography market with the dual auto pixel focus system, which still works fantastically well. Pulling focus actually by touching the screen, which is pretty cool. Autofocus tracking is really good. Pairing it with the old nifty 50, okay? 50 millimeter prime lens, f1.8. And if you're not familiar with aperture, f1.8 is going to give you a really fast lens, let lots of light into the lens, and you get that really nice bokeh effect, a nice blurred background, which I've talked about in a past video using the iPhone 11 Pro for bokeh. Now, it's not really a fair comparison because the iPhone 11 Pro can shoot in 24 frames per second, in 4K. This bad boy, we're only going to get 24 frames per second in 1080. So this is not a scientific test whatsoever. Just a quick comparison between the two. Does the Canon 70D still hold up in terms of bokeh 7 or 8 years later versus an iPhone 11 Pro? And we have a very special subject with us today. I actually ended up getting a model to help us with this. I think you guys are really going to be happy about this. So here we go. Here's our model. Yes. Grow, Gigi, Baby Yoda. I don't know, man. They should have come up with a better name, but anyway, let's get to it. Okay, so I've loaded up the two clips here. The first one is the iPhone 11 Pro using the Focus Live app for the digital bokeh. And the second one is the Canon 70D paired with the 50mm f1.8 lens. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm just going to play the clips first of all in their entirety. There's been no color correcting or grading or anything like that, just stabilization through Final Cut Pro. Okay, so pay close attention to kind of the outlines of the top of Baby Yoda's head. And you'll see some kind of funky things happening there. So we'll talk about those in a minute. Okay, I should have added some sound effects or something like that to make it a little more interesting. Okay, and now we're going to play the Canon footage. So you can see the difference between now we're using the actual optical blurred background within the lens itself. Two totally different things. Digital versus optical. All right, so again, pay close attention to the outlines of his head and in comparison with the background. And then we will briefly discuss the two, compare them, and then I'll have some final thoughts. Okay, there you go. So let's go back. Okay, so overall, I think Focus Live does a really good job here. Okay, overall, pretty good. You just start to see some kind of funky kind of artifacts around Yoda's head as you kind of move around. And in behind, you see it's actually revealing some of the things on the shelf, like the light, the base of the light, and also some things on the shelf in the background there. Okay, so few little limitations. Overall, though, it does a pretty good job. If you're careful about the background that you use with this app, I think you'll do all right. Moving shots are probably a little bit harder with this app. I would probably recommend tripod only when using the Focus Live for the bokeh. Okay, now let's look at the Canon footage. As you can see, the roll off very smooth. Okay, very clearly separated from the background. There's no artifacts, just very smooth. Look at the nice, beautiful, blurred light. Okay, compare that to, let's see if we can go back here, right there. Okay, let's see the light at the top. Again, it's pretty nice though. It is a pretty nice blurred bokeh, but look at that with the 50 millimeter f1.8, really nice blurred background. Okay, and then I just want to show you kind of where you can kind of have the depth of view with a DSLR that you just can't get with an iPhone yet. Okay, keyword is yet. So if you want to have like a nice focus pull, there you go. Nice smooth focus pull. Okay, and that's kind of part of the fun. That's, if you're looking for that cinematic kind of a thing, well, focus pulls, rack focus, I mean, that's where it's at. You don't want everything in focus all the time. So again, just to show you a little bit of the difference, nice smooth roll off there with the 50D Canon, and then there's the iPhone. Not bad, but definitely a clear winner between the two. The 8-year-old camera with the $100 prime lens can still beat the iPhone for now. Okay, just for now. But I think that's going to change soon enough. So there you go. There's a really clear difference between the two. They're both usable. I think you can definitely pull off some nice B-roll shots with the Canon 70D. If you pair it up with like the Sigma 18 to 35 f1.8, get some nice, smooth, really nice footage. But Focus Live and the iPhone, still pretty darn good job. Like I said, I would stick to tripod use only for that nice static stationary shot. Moving shots, I'd probably stay away from those for now. So final thoughts. I've contemplated looking at getting a better lens, like a Sigma 1.8 art lens, 18 to 35 for the Canon 70D. Is it worth pairing a beautiful lens with a super old camera? I'm not sure. It might be something that I could rent the lens, maybe try it out and get some test footage. The thing about the iPhone 11 Pro, everything just looks fantastic. You get your 4K 60 frames per second, so you can slow down the footage. The image stabilization is amazing. Now, obviously, we're seeing some limitations of the bokeh, okay, the portrait video. Has portrait video on the iPhone arrived yet? No, it has not arrived. Let's just be very clear about that. Portrait video has not arrived yet. Now, Focus Live does a great job with a stationary subject or object if you don't push it too hard, okay? But then the harder you push it, especially if you're moving, you get all those artifacts, and to me, that's just unusable footage, and it looks amateur. So you really got to be careful with this. With the Focus Live, it works great. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It just has limitations. So it's important to know the limitations. The optical bokeh, that's going to be pretty hard to beat, even on an old 7 or 8 year old camera with a nifty 50. That's a $100 lens. Maybe it's probably even less now. One of the big problems with this particular DSLR and this lens is there's no image stabilization. There's no in-camera stabilization. There's no image stabilization in the lens, so the camera shake is brutal. It can be balanced on like a glide cam, but the weight of holding that thing and moving it around is a little bit brutal, but it can be done. I have done it. I've seen it done very, very well. So how well does the older DSLR hold up? Well, if you got a good lens, and the thing is, when you're spending money, spend your money on the lens. So that's Sigma 18 to 35 f1.8. I think it's like $1,000 lens. Spend your money on the lens first. Okay, that's really where you get the incredible footage from. iPhone 11 Pro, okay, portrait video is coming. Okay, it's inevitable. I'm sure Apple's working overtime to make it happen right now. It will happen, and when it does happen, within the camera itself, it's going to be a game changer. So there you go, my friends. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe. Catch you in the next one.